interest. So I was texting with this woman the other day. She found me on TikTok, and by the way, I answer pretty much every comment or direct message that comes in. And she's a very smart, well-presented woman on her profile, and she spoke very well. And she said to me, look, she said, I keep going out on dates and then guys get bored and they move on. And so I looked at her and I listened to the way that she was speaking, and she was very clear and very easy to text back and forth with. And I said, okay. I said, they get bored? She said, yeah, we go on a couple of dates and then they just kind of lose interest and they stop asking me out. I said, are you successful? Do you have a really busy schedule? She said, yes, but. And then she went into this long explanation about how that didn't really hold her back. And I said, they're not bored. They're intimidated because you're leading with masculine energy, right? So when you are busy at work or at home and you're getting things done, or you're figuring out how to move your business forward or your career or make more money or whatever you're doing, you're using masculine energy. And it's a great way to get things done. And so our logical brain, right? Our prefrontal cortex is the way we logic our way to a solution. And so we think, we need to use that part of our brain to figure out dating and relationships and romance and love and everything else. But that's not our emotional part of the brain. And if you, no matter how beautiful or sexy you are, it doesn't matter, because a man is not going to respond if you come at him with a whole lot of that logical masculine energy. It's just going to turn him off. The kind of man that you want wants to inhabit the masculine most of the time. Doesn't mean that he's only masculine energy, but with you, he wants to lead. He wants to be the leader of the relationship. So now we live in an age where women are out performing men, they're out earning men, they're, more educated than men. A lot of the women I talk to are attracting fixer-upper men because they have achieved so much. But you, like this woman that I talked to, have to figure out how to engage with the men that you like with feminine energy. That's the challenge. It's communication. It's the way you communicate with them. I hope that helps. If you want to talk more about feminine energy and masculine energy, if you feel like you are struggling with this, if you don't know why men don't ask you for a second date or they just lose interest, if men have told you they found you intimidating, let me know.
I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but if he's acting like he doesn't care, he's not calling you, texting you, initiating plans, then it's not because of all these reasons going on in your mind. Like, oh, he's busy with work, he's got friends in town, family issues. No, sweetheart, it's a lot simpler than that, okay? It's because, and I know this is gonna hurt to hear, but it's because he doesn't care. It's because he's chosen to not make you a priority. And I think that's disrespectful. I think that should be a turnoff. So while you're over here making excuses for him and clinging on to this romanticized fantasy in your brain and the best version of him, remember he's not doing any of that. So I personally think you should remind yourself of your worth. You're a catch. And if he doesn't see that, he's not worth your time and it is his loss, okay? Follow me for more dating tips and good luck.
So I got a message from a young lady on TikTok today who said, I've been in the talking phase with this guy. Things were going really, really well. He seemed extremely interested. And then the closer we got, he started to pull away and started to get distant. So I'm wondering, what can I do to keep his attention? I got you, sis. I'm Dr. Sarah Hensley. I'm a specialized social psychologist, and I've been studying the science of attachment and attraction inside romantic relationships for over 15 years. And I see this a lot. And I'm going to give you advice that 99% of other coaches will not give you. And I particularly think that that makes me far more effective and far more truthful. So let's go with the typical answer. The typical coach is going to say, pull back, match his energy, and let him come to you. And there's some issues with that. Secure people are reliable and consistent, okay? They are the same on the 20th date as they were on the first date. So if you have to pull away in order to get someone's attention, how is that going to work long-term in a relationship? What that advice is banking on is the fact that this person, this guy, has some form of attachment anxiety, like maybe he's a fearful avoidant, and when you pull away, it's going to ignite his attachment anxiety and he is going to want to come towards you. So then what happens when you come close again? He's going to run away. But if he's a dismissive avoidant and you pull away, you're probably not going to get much. You may get a little bit more of his affection and attention, but again, that's going to be extremely short-lived. He's probably not going to ever come back as close as he was if he's a DA. They just don't ever come back like they did in the beginning and show up the same. You're going to get a little bit. He's going to start breadcrumbing you just enough to really keep you in the game, but not enough to satisfy you and really meet your needs and make a successful relationship happen. So I really think you have two options here, with the second one being the best one. Option number one, you say something. Secure people are unapologetically authentic. Authentic with their feelings, authentic with what they're looking for, and they do not play games. And I would not suggest playing any kind of game like pulling back and waiting this out. I would say, hey, I've noticed you've been a little more distant lately. I'm just checking in to see if you are still interested in pursuing a relationship with me. And see what he says. A dismissive avoidant, their hallmark red flag is pulling away after closeness. That is just the way they are. And so their usual excuse is going to be, oh, I'm sorry, I was just so busy. You know, I didn't really mean anything by it, or I haven't really noticed. I've just had all this other stuff going on. And it's true. They don't see their patterns. They do not notice that they become more distant over time, most of the time. But you could bring this to his attention and see if he shows up again. But I personally think with that strategy, you're probably risking an unhealthy attachment to someone who is showing a red flag of not being capable of true intimacy. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, maybe he's just not interested in you. And that may be true. But guess what? Secure people are authentic. They are unapologetic. A secure person would just say, hey, I've really enjoyed getting to know you, but I don't feel a lot of compatibility here, so I wish you the best on your journey. Secure people don't string people along and breadcrumb them because they're too afraid to say that they're not compatible. Option number two, which is the best option, would be to tell him that you don't feel a lot of compatibility and wish him the best on his journey, and don't go back there. Because if someone is showing a red hot red flag, like pulling away as soon as you get close, that is them sending on a platter to you this projection into the future that they are just really scared of intimacy and not really capable of being reliable and consistent. I mean, the talking phase is when people show up the best. And so if their best foot forward is inconsistency, then you don't have a lot to look forward to, except for anxiety and heartbreak. So I would do that, and then I would pour all of my resources, energy, and attention into my own attachment security, because you are showing a red flag by simply wanting to pursue someone who is showing you clear signs that they are not interested in being reliable in their reciprocation of affection and attention towards you. So if you want to continue to see my content, please run and follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We may wake up one day without this app. And as always, if you'd like to work with me, visit me at my website, thedatingdecoder.com.
First of all, the fact that I'm using this term discard tells you that this cycle that I'm about to lay out does happen pretty often out there in the dating world. If it didn't, then there wouldn't be a term for it. In the typical avoidant discard process, you meet a guy, he's very charming and affectionate up front. You grow to really like him and you get attached to him over time. Once you're attached, eventually he kind of pulls the rug from underneath you. The reason for this is because the guy was an avoidant the entire time. When I say avoidant, what I mean by that is he has an avoidant attachment style. So attachment style 101, you have a spectrum here. On one side of the spectrum, you have people that are on the avoidant side, In the middle, you have people that are securely attached, and on the other side, you have people that are anxiously attached. And if you want to get really technical, avoidance can break down into dismissive avoidance or fearful avoidance. Bottom line is you're going to encounter men that are not emotionally available, but even worse than that, they're going to mislead you because of their own attachment wounds and insecurities. Your best line of defense against guys that are going to lead you on and waste your time, whether they're avoidants or narcissists or whatever they are, is the rule of sex exclusivity. It's impossible to know a guy's true nature early on. And if you become physical with him quickly, it's going to become really hard to disentangle your personal emotions from the objective facts about him.
4 things that make a man lose interest and what to do to get it back. Number 1, trying to win him over. The more he pulls back, the more you lean in. Maybe leaning in is a good thing in other areas, but not this one. When it comes to your career, lean in all you want. Not when it comes to a man. Don't try to show him how amazing you are and prove your worth. This just comes across as desperate and pathetic. Think about it logically. Do you ever like the guys who feel completely unworthy of you and are trying to prove themselves? No, because they're basically saying, I know I'm not good enough for you, but I hope you don't notice or have mercy on me and pick me anyway. Number 2, pushing an agenda on him. This is the worst attitude to have. That is trying to move things in a certain direction because it will make you feel better. Like you need him to make things official, to call you his girlfriend. And until then, you will feel unworthy and you will feel like something is wrong with you. Self-worth does not come from any sort of relationship milestone. Also, men don't operate this way in relationships. This is an area where the way men operate is like a little bit better, less stressful for sure. They don't usually make commitment the goal. They just feel it out, and commitment is a byproduct based on how compatible are we? How do we get along? What's the vibe like? So for you, try to remain present. If this is an issue for you, you're always jumping 20 steps ahead. The only question you should be asking yourself on a date is, do I want to go on another date? Not, is this guy my future husband, and how can I get him to see me as the one, and what can I do to make him fall in love with me? Number 3, doing all the work. In theory, this sounds nice, but nothing makes a guy lose interest faster than when he doesn't have to do anything to win you over. If he wants to see you, you'll be there. If he needs to cancel on you last minute, you won't hold it against him. He doesn't even have to text you first. You'll do it. He doesn't need to plan dates. You'll do it. He doesn't even need to think of interesting things to say. You're going to come up with all the interesting things to say in conversation. You don't need to fill every silence. You don't always need to be doing something in the relationship. When this happens, he may enjoy the perks, but he'll lose interest fast, because for a man to truly become invested in you and grow to like you in a real way, he has to invest in you. Number 4, complaining. This isn't just a man repeller, it's a people repeller. But I think that women tend to bond by complaining and sharing our struggles. Men aren't like this. If you're just going to him to vent and complain, he's just going to feel like, life is hard enough. I don't need to be in a relationship that's just going to bring me down. So if this is your tendency, try to keep it a little bit more light and a little bit more fun. Okay, so what should you do if you're currently seeing a guy and sense that his interest is starting to fade? First, pull back. You need to recalibrate. And like I said, men need to invest in you, so give him the space to do so. Also, use this pulling back time to take the focus off of him and put it on yourself. He doesn't deserve all of your love and attention until he earns it. If you just enjoy life and engage with him and make nothing of it, your vibe will be enjoyable and positive, and he will be drawn to you. When it feels good to be around you, he'll want to be around you. This is like a core understanding about men in general. When he feels like you're trying to get something out of him, he'll want nothing to do with you. It's really as simple as that. Hope this was helpful. Make sure to follow me for more relationships.
Have you ever been dealing with a man and it feel like just out of nowhere he just loses interest in you or pulls back, or the vibe is just completely off or different? It's never unprovoked, and there's always a reason behind it. And I'm about to tell y'all some of them reasons right now, all right? So listen. The first and most obvious reason is simply he just got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. He sees no reason to put effort in anymore. And this, especially like if it wasn't that good to him, like if you ain't even put it on him for real, yeah, like it's definitely quiet. Because if it was good, if it was fire to him, then he going still, you know what I'm saying? He might still entertain the situation for a little while longer, or might continue to go along with it, you know what I'm saying? Still get to know you after. But if it was trash to him, then it's dang near over. Wrap it up. Next, he could simply just find you annoying or unenjoyable to be around. And this especially if y'all not even like together for real, like y'all not even on that level of where y'all been messing with each other for a good amount of time, where, you know what I'm saying, you have a say in certain things or you have a right to be upset by certain things. But early on, if you nagging him, pressing him about certain things, blowing his phone up, and this is very subjective to the type of level y'all are on with each other, because like I said, if it been some months, then like certain stuff for you to get upset at is acceptable. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, like we only messing with each other, we only been having sex with each other, certain stuff you gonna get upset about, and that's fair. But very early on, if you already causing them type of problems, it's a good chance you gonna get cut off, because that's just, you know what I'm saying, that's problematic, that's disturbing the peace. And ladies, I know y'all can agree, because if it was a man doing the same thing, y'all be annoyed by it too. Just being a pisser, you know, like it's always a problem, it's always bad vibes, bad attitude. Yeah, no. Last and probably one of the most common reasons is you could have just got replaced. Especially if y'all not really together, where he's not having that respect of, okay, I'm not going to talk to any other girls, or I'm not going to weigh my options out. It's a good chance he could have just found another girl that he think look better than you, or suit him better, or he like her personality better. Whatever the case may be, he putting her over you. So now his attention is going towards her and away from you. Y'all, these are just a couple of reasons, all right? They not the only reasons. So don't think I'm saying that these the only reasons. Then you arguing with your whatever dude you dealing with because so-and-so said this on TikTok. Could be a number of reasons, but these are not the only ones, all right? That's all I got for y'all today.
He loses interest in you. I want you to imagine you didn't see your mother for 7 years. Yes, 7 whole years. In that 7-year period, you didn't text her, you didn't FaceTime her, you didn't even see a picture of her on Facebook. So for 7 years, you had absolutely zero communication with your mother. You couldn't even hear her voice. And finally, one day you hear a knock at the door. You open the door, and to your shock and surprise, it's your mother whom you haven't seen in 7 years. Imagine the emotion that would come over you in that moment, how tight you would hug your mother, the sobbing and the crying, and just the thankfulness that you finally get to be with your mother again. Now I want you to imagine your mother goes on to live with you in your house for 7 years. Every day for 7 years, you go to work, you come back, your mother's there. You invite a friend over for dinner, your mother's there. Somehow, every day you see your mother for the next 7 years, the way you embrace her and feel about her is never quite like the day you saw her after 7 years of not seeing her. A man's affection will grow for you the most when he misses you.
If you notice him,
feel like a man's losing interest in you, let me break down why. You meet a guy, everything's all good, everything's great. You guys both start off at 100.
giving 100%.
You're both giving 100%. All of a sudden, he drops down to 90.
But only a 10% change.
Exactly.
Because maybe you said something that seems slightly off. You've said something, so he goes, okay, well, I'll give in 5% more, back up to 95.
Right? Then, out of nowhere, it drops again. But this time, it drops to 80.
This is more noticeable. You bring it up again, he'll go back up to 85 after you've talked about it the second time.
85%.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, this whole time, you're still giving 100. Drop happens again to 70. And you're like, whoa, this is a really big change. Like, can we talk about this communication, blah, 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 blah. He's like, hey, that's my bad. I'm sorry. I've been busy, this and that. And he goes back and he brings it back.
75.
As time goes on, he's only doing less and less and less and less. Every time he goes up by a little bit more, you're like, oh, he's improving.
You're happy with that 5% improvement. Haven't realized that he's gone down from when he was giving 100.
He's improved since last week. You haven't noticed that for the past 2-3 months, he's been going down, less and less and less.
Gets to this point, he's not coming around to your house. He's expecting you to always go travel to him. He's not communicating. He's literally doing less than the bare minimum, but you're happy when he does give breadcrumbs of effort.
When really at the end of the day, he's giving you barely anything at all.
He's giving you 5%. And basically, this is what this guy does to every single girl he
That's
talks
just
to.
not true.
Losing interest in you, this is what you're gonna do. Let's say you've been seeing each other for a little while, or you've been together for a little while, and all of a sudden you notice that he is losing interest in you. He's gotten comfortable, he's not really reaching out anymore, he's not really making an effort, you're also not really having sex anymore. When you notice a man actively losing interest in you and in your relationship or marriage, do not try and fix it. Do not try to win him back. Do not try to rebuild the relationship or the marriage. Because remember this, the more you do for him, the less he's gonna do for you. It is not your job to fix or rebuild the relationship. And you cannot force him to all of a sudden have the interest and the spark and the desire to pursue you again. So here's what to do instead. The first sign that you notice of your dynamic shifting, of him pulling back, of him losing interest, you are going to become the most selfish version of yourself. You are going to focus all that mental and emotional energy that you always try to put on him to fix the relationship back into yourself. Reinvent yourself. Set yourself a certain time frame and be very specific about it. You can give yourself a month, maybe even 3 months if you've been together for a while. And in that time frame, you're going to pretend that this man doesn't even fucking exist. You are going to pretend that you are single. Obviously, you're not sleeping with anybody else because you're still in a commitment, but you're mentally detached. And you embody the same version of yourself that you used to be before you met this man. Light-hearted, mentally detached, unbothered, going out with the girls, focusing on your routine, focusing on your body, your health, getting your nails done, getting your hair done, trying new makeup routines, putting together an entire new closet. Only reply to him when he's messaging or texting or calling when it's necessary. You want to limit access to you as much as possible. Now, all of a sudden, because you stopped doing so much, because you stopped overcompensating, trying to fix the relationship, you pulled back and your man's true intentions with you will be revealed. He will notice the change in your behavior and the confusion will start. Oh my God, am I losing her? Is there another man in her life? Why is she not trying to fix the relationship anymore? Is she getting bored of me? What's happening? That's exactly what you want. You want him sitting on the edge of his seat, not knowing what your next move is going to be. And that is how you have all the power back and also spark his interest again. Remember, ladies, they don't respond to your words and you're nagging and you're complaining what it should have been, what it could have been, why it's not like it used to be in the beginning. They respond to no contact and you withdrawing and pulling back. So their ego is triggered to win you back over. If after 1 or 3 months of you focusing only purely on yourself and treating this man like he doesn't even exist, and he still doesn't catch on and come your way and try to pursue and chase you again, you dodged a bullet. That man was never emotionally committed to you. So regardless, you win.